What is the connection between coffee and speaking up? Let me repeat that question. What's the connection between coffee and speaking up? Well, that's something I got to talk about with someone else just now, and it started by telling her about my experiences with Starbucks. So I know not everybody likes Starbucks. Some love it, some hate it. But I was using this tumbler. Yeah, it has 1971 on it. Has a special meaning. It's not only the year that Starbucks got founded, it's also the year that I came into existence. So Starbucks for me, when I started drinking coffee, I was someone who didn't really like strong coffee. So that's something I knew from early on. So back in the days, I didn't drink coffee at all because it's too bitter, too strong, that taste. And when I went to Florida for the first time, I saw this cool mug, which had Florida on there. And I think I saw the combination of latte and vanilla on there. I bought the mug. It's somewhere up there, so I'm not going to get it down. But that was, I have a lot of good memories. It was the time that I didn't use crutches yet, but I already had sprained my ankle. I didn't know I had a tear in one of my ligaments. I didn't know anything about it, but I had this tape on there with all these colors. Someone at a stand at a massage fair, which I was part of too, had helped me, and people were like, oh my God, what's that you're wearing? Is that like a sock or a tattoo? So quickly I found out that Starbucks was related to fun. Fast forward, ever since I was like, hey, do they have latte? Do they have vanilla? Oh, they do? Cool. Now, that's what I want. Moving forward again, I started to learn that it's actually possible to adjust what you like in coffee. So I remember being in the UK at the airport, and I took a sip of my coffee and I was like, because it was so immensely hot. And I was like, and that was the first time I realized, oh, there is something like extra hot. Well, there are a lot of different sizes. So this is the smallest one. That's a tall. And then there's the big one. This is a venti. So yeah, there's difference in size. And what you can see on this one is there's a whole recipe on there. So the recipe actually says that this is a venti blonde latte. Well, actually it's a tall with extra milk, so it becomes a venti. And so they say that I do bring my own Starbucks cup, even though it says no. Oh, there's no Starbucks cup because, yes, I bring my own cup. It says 2 blonde roast because this is the big one, right? It says 1 soy, then 5 sugar-free vanilla. Well, that's not correct. I want 3 max sugar-free vanilla in such a big one. And then 1 Ask Me. So I also don't see the extra hot on there, which should be on there too. But basically what they can do is they can scan this recipe and then they know what I like. So what I like about this tumbler is this is a very special one, and it's also one which is very good conversation. So this is Starbucks Military Commitment. And I bought this one in Florida. It used to have a handle on here, but I let it drop so many times that it has flown off. Stanley, the brand, actually said you have lifetime guarantee, which you do, but they didn't have this one anymore, so I got another one. And that was a good thing because I got a new lid on there. So this lid is a little bit complicated. It's not just open and closing, but you can also put this on there and then it actually locks. So now it's unlocked, and this way it's locked. So basically what I can do is I can put my coffee in here, close it, seal it. If it's done properly, hold it like this and nothing comes out. So this keeps my drink warm for like 5 to 8 hours. And that's one of the reasons I want it extra hot. So getting back to the conversation, it was like, she asked me, okay, do you like the smell of coffee better at Starbucks than you do the taste? And well, quite honestly, my smell isn't that good. So there are certain things which I can smell really good. And most things I cannot smell really good at all, but I do taste very well. So some people say that's not possible. Well, I can tell you, my smell is off. And so I don't smell anything at Starbucks most of the time. But I do taste it. And I do have an absolute preference when it comes to tasting my coffee. So talking on, I said, okay, so if you go to Starbucks, then what do you do in order to get the coffee you want? And I asked her, are you aware that you can actually come up with a recipe of what you like? And I don't think she was aware. She usually looks at the sign. Yeah, this looks good. Okay, just give me that one. Well, I've come to learn over the years that you can actually, create your own recipe. Hence why this one is on there. And I also have a different one for my Frappuccino, which, by the way, I have without the whipped cream. So I have my own version of that one too. And hang on. So it's, I think I've been taught to get my own recipe. And, there were various reasons. I would talk to the people and I say, yeah, I do like coffee, but I don't like the strong coffee. I like the subtle taste of it. And then at some point, blonde showed up. And so I started using blonde. And then, when I have this size, I usually would say, just give me half a blonde, so, or in this one, which is basically, well, it's at least, I think it's 2 times the size of the other one. I would say, well, give me 1.5 shot of blonde. So I had to learn too that you actually can get half a size of half a shot of espresso. So those were the things that when you get to talk to people, you get to learn. So what she said is, yeah, but when I'm in line and people are standing behind me, I just want to get it over and done with. So I am aware, I'm totally aware that when I'm in line, I usually just look over my shoulder and I say to the people, hang on. Yeah, I've got 2 of those. Usually I've got one that's bigger than this because I use it when traveling. And then I'll say okay, so just hang on because it's going to be a lot, which I'm going to ask. And then I'll just ask for whatever it is I want. And, well, I haven't heard people complain, but then again, when you go to Starbucks, you pay for your coffee, then so you want it to be special. And that's the other thing that we got to talk about. Like, okay, so when you go there, so there's this discussion, whether is Starbucks expensive or is it not? So yes, Starbucks can be very expensive, but here's the thing one has to keep in mind. If you go to a restaurant and you sit down and you get your cup of coffee, then yeah, it's cheaper, but you get a lot less compared to when you go to Starbucks. So if I were to have this thing filled at a restaurant, which I on occasion do when I can't go to Starbucks, then basically they have it fill it up at least 3 times with cappuccino or latte or whatever they have, which basically says it all. So then it's 3 times the price. Well, I can tell you it's more expensive than having this filled at Starbucks. So again, there's a special vibe to it. And when I look at this tumbler or this mug, so this keeps it warm. And this lid is actually not originally from this cup. It's from another one, a Christmas version. But you know, you get to recognize the ones. And whenever I see one which actually has a lid, I'm inclined to buy it because it keeps it all warm. Little tricks you get to know once you get to know Starbucks. Anyway, so one of the challenges for her was like, okay, so I need to be able to speak out loud what it is I want and what I like. So that's number one. So the second thing was, but how can you find out what you like? So she likes her coffee really strong, so total opposite of me. So getting back to the smell of coffee, I said, well, when you open a sack of fresh coffee beans or, you know, roasted coffee and you open it up, heaven. I totally dig that sound, but that's, of course, only the first few minutes. As for getting what you want, it's about experimentation. So just recently when I was in London, I learned that the blonde, which is milder, so it has less intensity, so strong coffee has an intensity of up to 11 usually. I'm more in the range of 4 or 5. So they told me, you do know there's more caffeine in there, right? I said, no, I didn't know. I'm actually surprised, but good. Thank you for sharing with me. So a lot of people are under the impression that because I want something with less intensity, that I do not like the caffeine in there. Well, that's absolutely not true. I don't mind caffeine. I mean, I haven't tested it out, but probably if I get like 5 cups of coffee before I go to sleep, I can still sleep. So, but this is about improvement. So when interacting with the person behind the cash register, they're already that's, you know, and you want a difference, then you already have to ask, okay, so what are the possibilities? When I list what I want or I ask what I want, then, you know, I like the conversation, so I always give them a big smile and I'll say thank you. But then when you go and you're at the end of the line waiting for your coffee, then you can taste, especially when you have something made, and they'll tell you, you know, just taste it, and if you don't like it, just say it, and we'll make something else. So you can wait, then have a sip, maybe several sips. Don't do it when it's extra hot, because then you'll burn your mouth if you're not careful. But when you do and you don't like it, you can have it changed, and you can talk to the one who's standing behind the coffee machine to make a difference. So all those people at Starbucks, they're trained to be very kind to people, to smile. So they need to have a certain connection. They need to like people. Otherwise, you won't be part of Starbucks. That's the way it is. And that's true all around the world. And just see what happens. If you go there, you'll get a smile. And the same applies to when it comes, whether you like it or not. If you don't like it, they'll say, okay, give it back. They throw it away and they'll make you a new one. And they'll tune it to what it is you like. And of course, when you've got what you like, you want that recipe. So that's what I learned when it came to the Frappuccinos. So I had to learn, for instance, that if I want to avoid just having ice left, like the cubes of ice which are crushed, that I need to have it mixed twice, and I need to have added extra base. Usually I'll have less ice in there, more milk, and then it works out just fine for me. So there are two moments basically when you get to talk about what you want and you get to express yourself, which of course has everything to do with speaking out, which is at the cash register. So you can find a perfect blend, and it's at the end. Of course, there's also that moment when people are waiting behind you in line and you're like, oh no, I want to ask this, but do I dare? Well, yeah, I dare because it's my coffee experience. Like I said, it's not cheap for just coffee on the go. But if you want to really enjoy it and experience it, then it should be good, right? And so that's the one thing. And then dare to be you. So when people see this, not only is my name on there, but there's a whole list on there. So by the time people see me, I've spoken to them, I've talked to them about it, they know who I am. I might actually do a little video with them. I might take a picture of the big chalkboard, because usually Starbucks have their own chalkboard and there's something on there. And you know, I might have talked about their merchandise, how things are in the different Starbucks all over the world. So they know me, and especially when they see this one, and they know, I mean, this is one of a kind. It's even one of a kind in the US. There is no one like this one anymore, which is one of the reasons that I really like it. But it's because it doesn't leak that I actually use it all the time. And this has seen a lot of airports and other places, by the way. So talking about this one, it's a good way to make conversation, and at some point people get to know you. So new personnel, especially when I go to the regular place I go to over here in the Netherlands, they know it's different, and then we go like, okay, you can either, you know, do steamed milk. Hang on. Oh, that's the second time this evening, I think in the last hour. Oh, something must be in the air. I don't know what it is, but something must be. So I always say, do you steamed milk and add a little coffee and some syrup to it? Or I'll say, make it like a toll and then add extra soy milk. So basically those are the two things, because I like it sort of like a toll, but I want extra soy milk because basically I drink milk with a little bit of coffee, in case you had missed it. And that's nice, because when people know you, they'll ask how you're doing, and of course there's conversation, and that's all the start of speaking up. So when it comes to being you and also enjoying the vibe and recreating that vibe, it can be very worthwhile to actually get your own mug. Besides that, it's better because this is reusable. For me, you know, when COVID hit, we couldn't go anywhere anymore for Starbucks coffee, and I used to use it in order to write down my thoughts. I would record videos at Starbucks. I would probably edit them at the same time as well. And it wasn't possible, you know, from one moment to the other one, it was just over and done with. And I still remember I was in LA, and well, then you only could get Starbucks at the drive-thru. And of course, I didn't have a car when I was in LA. So it was a good thing. It was time to leave, and I left earlier than I had wished for. But then when I got back, no more Starbucks. Everything was closed. So I had to recreate that own vibe. So like I said, for to-go coffee, it's not very cheap. It's also not the most expensive thing, like I said, especially when you have more, you have a bigger size. basically it's not that expensive if you think about it. But the vibe, as in me feeling relaxed, being getting in the moment, being in the moment, doing my stuff, as in writing, recording, thinking about things. I couldn't do it anymore anywhere. And that's basically one of the reasons why I do go to Starbucks a lot less, because I learned to do it at home or here at the business. But it did teach me to take that vibe with me everywhere I go. And I think that's the whole important thing, that you get to live and relive that experience and what's so important to you. So if I see this one, it brings a huge smile to my face. I don't like the color orange. I do like the baby blue though. And usually it has a dark blue lid on there, but it's on another mug, which is in my car. I've got to take it with me inside. And of course this one, yeah, that's special. Absolutely, totally special. So, yeah. But when it comes to speaking up, this could actually be the one startup exercise for you. And then if you were to add your own recipe, then of course people are going to wonder, what is it like? But your own recipe is what makes you unique and what makes it valuable to you. So don't just drink coffee for the sake of drinking coffee and, waking up. But see what you can do. And nowadays we have a lot of espresso machines where you can actually do stuff. So with the espresso machines where you have to do all the stuff yourself, if you're in luck, you can actually see if there's a certain intensity on there. So nowadays we see many more of those, and they actually have separately steamed milk. So sometimes I get, 1 cup, which I use for the latte. Of course, it's the least strong version, and then I'll have 1 for the steamed milk, especially when you cannot adjust your own strength, and then I'll just mix it up and I'll have 2, and it's just perfect. But this is about, you enjoying yourself as much as you can, having a smile as much as you can, telling yourself, yeah, it's good, spoil yourself a little bit. And so, yeah, what's the connection between coffee and speaking up? Well, if you want coffee to be the way you want it to be, really the way you want it to be, then give some attention to what it is you're drinking and what you like. And then make sure it is the way you like. So figure it out. Ask the questions so you can make it better. And, they are trained. Those people are trained not only for the people skills, but they are also trained to know about coffee. And hey, there's Joe. And Joe is the one and only who knows about me and coffee. So, and this is funny because when I go to Starbucks with her, then she will say, yeah, just give me a regular vanilla latte, nothing special. And then of course I come with this list. I have to tell it myself because it is a long list and she knows. But yeah, I do make it an experience, and it's the funny thing. And she can probably say the same thing. So for me, it's not just about sitting there. So you'll never see me drink my coffee or my latte like clock, 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 and it's done. However, in those 15 to 20 minutes, Joe will have finished her coffee. Yeah, you do. You do. And I guess that's the major difference between like really. So usually, no, I'm not like you. And yeah, it's like you to do it. Clock, 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 clock. You've got it, you know. So usually when I use this one, which is the big one, I haven't made extra hot. Like I said, I first experienced that when I was at UK airport, and I literally burned my mouth like, oh my God, what's this? But this is for when I'm on the road. So when I know that I won't be having any latte later on, because I'm waiting somewhere, standing somewhere, because it's going to be after 8 o'clock. So after 8 o'clock, all the Starbucks is over here are closed, except the one at Central Station, or maybe some other stations, I don't know, and at the airport too. So I make sure this one is filled. So when I was traveling with my friends last week, I also got myself a tumbler filled with coffee. I think I got two, actually. And when I was waiting there, I would drink one, and then later on I would have another one too. So it was, you know, for me, especially the latte version, it eases my stomach a little bit. So it's a really good way for me to fall asleep. Yeah, I can drink coffee and fall asleep, just like I said before. So that's why the connection between asking for your coffee and speaking up is actually a logical one. And it's a shame that Jo is not on here. Yeah, she's watching, but she's not with me on here. Because she can actually tell you what it's like to be at the Starbucks with me. So she knows that I will go through the merch and I will talk about, oh, look, yeah, I got this from the US, even when I'm in the UK. Or I might ask some questions or say, oh, do you see this chalkboard? Yeah, everyone has chalkboard. I need to make a little picture of the chalkboard. You know, those are the little things. And people do get to know you at some point because they are like, oh yeah, we've seen you before, because of the whole recipe. So those are the little fun things. And, you know, a lot of things are the same when it comes to Starbucks all over the world, but there are some differences, and it's especially the things you eat. And those are the little things I can get to enjoy too. So one of the things we don't have over here is a spinach feta wrap. What we do have it in the US, and that's one of the things I can actually eat. Oh my God, Jo and we got to eat a lot of those when we were watching the actors of Chicago PD and their crew, which was kind of funny because there were a lot of Starbucks over there in Chicago. And you know, again, it was not like you eat it and it's done. It's like, hey, it's an experience. And I do believe that when you use it and create that experience yourself, that it actually makes you stronger. It makes you more you. And that's what's so important. And so if you want to learn the basics of speaking up, yes, Jo, I know, then start with that coffee. Start by exploring what you actually like and how you like it. And especially when you go to a place like Starbucks, so you usually cannot do it everywhere. So when I go to the local restaurant over here, just for a short while, they used to have syrup in there, the amaretto version, which was very sugary. But I can't do much when it comes to the amount of coffee in there. So that's one of the few times that you actually see me switch to tea, and then I actually have fresh tea. So I'll say, can I get a hot tea with fresh mint and fresh ginger in there. And sometimes they put something else in there too. But, you know, that's pretty specific. And I sometimes do it just because the coffee is too strong and I don't like it the way it is. And that's because I'm spoiled, because when I do go to the Starbucks, they do everything to make it the way I like it. And like I said, when you know you like it, make sure you get a picture, make sure you get the recipe, and then take it with you. And you can use it all over the world. Get to enjoy it, express yourself, even when there are a dozen people behind you. Don't be shy about it. And last but not least, really enjoy it. And also enjoy it when you are back at your place again.